So one of my favorite YouTubers, Cody Leach, did a tier ranking of millennial horror movies. And since him and I kind of grew up on the same movies, it looked like a lot of fun, so let's get to it. Alright, so we are going to start with the ranking system here, which was the way Cody Leach set it up. I think it just fits perfectly for millennial movies, so we're going to go with I'm Outie, That Was Good Psych, It's Aight, Pretty Sweet, and The Bomb. So that's our ranking system, so let's get started here. First up is The Rage Carrie 2. Now this kind of reminds me, if you took like American Pie and you took the original Carrie and you kind of merged them together, this is what you would get. It doesn't quite reach the level of those two in my opinion, but it's a fun movie. So I'm going to put it in Pretty Sweet. 28 Weeks Later. One of the best opening scenes in the 28 movie series. However, it's probably my second least favorite outside of 28 Years Later. 28 Days Later and Bone Temple are amazing. This one kind of just sits at number 3. And the opening scene is great, but that's about it for me. The rest of the movie is okay. So I'm going to put it in It's Aight. Blair Witch Project. We're going to put it straight into I'm Outie. I'm not a huge found footage person, and this one had all the hype. I watched it after all the hype, and it just really did nothing for me. And for found footage, since I sometimes get motion sick or queasy, unless it's an amazing movie, I'm never going to risk getting sick to rewatch it. So this one is just, I'm Outie. Teeth. Now this one is about a girl that has teeth in her vagina. Leads to some unnerving moments, especially if you're a guy. And it's an alright movie, so we're just going to put it in It's Aight. Scream 3. Now, this is the weakest of the original trilogy, but I still have a fun time with it. I'm a huge Scream nut. I love the Scream series. All of them are some of my favorite horror movies. So we're going to put it in Pretty Sweet. Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. Now, I love the Tales from the Crypt series. The movies I watched a little bit later in life. I didn't watch them when they originally came out, even though the series I did watch as it was, not while it was airing, but I did watch it on reruns and stuff. And I own the DVDs. Now, Demon Knight is a lot of fun. It's got a great cast here. You've got Billy Zane and Jada Pinkett Smith. But to me, it's just Aight. I'd rather watch the series rather than a full movie. It just works better for me in the series. Let the Right One In. Now this is where I might piss some people off because I was never a huge fan of this movie. I watched this one after the remake came out, and I definitely prefer the remake, so maybe that's why, since I watched that one first. This one I'm going to put in It's Aight. It's a cool vampire flick, but the things that I do like about this one, I think the remake does better. So I stick with the remake. Now for Disturbia. This was Shia LaBeouf film. Came out right around the time I think he was on his little bit of a high kick with Transformers and stuff. And it's fun. It's a pretty sweet movie. It's got a lot of tension as he spies on his neighbor, and it's just a lot of fun. Ginger Snaps. Now, I am a huge fan of werewolf movies. The Howling and American Werewolf in London, two of my favorite horror movies of all time. I love werewolves. Anything with werewolves in it, I'll pretty much watch. It's been a little disappointing as of late, especially with last year's Wolfman, so I'm hoping Werewolf this year is awesome. That way we get back to good werewolf movies. Ginger Snaps, it focuses too much on the changes that a girl's going through as she's slowly becoming a werewolf, to the point to where a lot of people think she's going through like teenage changes and hormonal changes. It's an okay movie. It's just not enough werewolf movie for me. So I'm going to put it in It's Aight. Session 9, Straight to the Bomb. Now, every time I hear that this is a made-for-TV movie, I can't believe it, because this movie really has some scary scenes. It has a great atmosphere with it being in an asylum, and just is a movie that I cannot recommend enough. And I appreciate Cody for recommending it a while back in one of his videos, because this has easily become one of my favorite movies to watch. Stir of Echoes. Now, this one gets compared to Sixth Sense a lot because of the ability to see ghosts. But I'm going to put it in the bomb, because this is an awesome movie with Kevin Bacon in which he does see ghosts. So it's got that kind of a Sixth Sense feel to it. But it's rated R, a lot more intense in my opinion. It's just a lot of fun. It's definitely more rewatchable than The Sixth Sense. Personally. Just because in The Sixth Sense, once you know that twist, it's not as much fun to watch it again. Frailty. This is the Bill Paxton starring and directed movie. And it's about him basically telling his kids that they need to kill people because they're either, I can't remember if it's possessed by demons or they are demons. Something along those lines. While one son questions it, one son just willingly does what his dad tells him to do. And it's an interesting dynamic there. It's got some very intense moments, and I just like it a lot. Candyman. I was late to the game on the Candyman series. The first one I'm going to put up in pretty sweet. I do enjoy it a lot. I can't say I've really enjoyed any of the sequels. They just never really stood out to me, but the original has some of those iconic scenes that I knew about before I watched the film, and it was just awesome to see the film with them, and I did enjoy it. Paranormal Activity. I'm going to put it in That Was Good Psych. It is the first one, which I did enjoy elements of it, but it's the same thing with the Blair Witch Project. Unless it's an amazing movie, I'm not going to put myself through a found footage film and risk getting myself sick if that happens. So it just stays in That Was Good Sight because I don't ever rewatch it. But if I were to ever watch a Paranormal Activity, it would be the first one. Now, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, I haven't watched that one, so I'm not going to rank that one. That's one on this list that he has that I'm going to need to watch. Next up is The Ring. This one is going to go straight up to pretty sweet for me. This is one of those horror movies I grew up on. I loved it. It was one that, growing up in the household I grew up in, since it was PG-13, it was allowed to be watched a lot in my house without parents around, so I watched it a lot. It was one of those horror movies that I could play all the time. Now, Final Destination 3D. This isn't the third one, it's just the 3D one. It's just called Final Destination. Oh, this one's bad. We're going to put it in I'm outie. The opening scene I had high hopes for when I knew it was a NASCAR race. But man, is it just destroyed with horrible CGI. Actually, this whole movie is destroyed with horrible CGI. And it came around to that time when 3D was all the craze. So it's got the stupid 3D elements to it that do nothing for the film now. It's just bad. But we're going to move on to another one that's going straight up to the bomb. And that is Peter Jackson's Dead Alive. I've only seen this one twice in my life, mainly because it went out of print, and I never bought a copy before it went out of print. So I'm going off what I remember of the movie, and I remember enjoying it a lot, and I really need to get myself a copy of it at some point. I just don't want to spend what it costs right now, so hopefully it re-releases in the future. Next up is John Carpenter's Vampires. We're going to put this one in its I don't really have any attachment to this movie. Didn't grow up on it. Watched it later in life. It was okay. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Straight to I'm outie. This one, I have no enjoyment in it at all. It's not quite as bad as Resurrection, but I just don't enjoy this. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. We're going to go up to pretty sweet. Now, this is Wes Craven's first foray into doing a meta film, I guess, as he worked towards Scream. And he did Scream right after this. And it's a lot of fun. It's an interesting take on the character of Freddy and just taking a stab at the whole meta aspect. But he does take it further in Scream and does it better in Scream, but it's highly entertaining. Now we've got Hostel. This is the first Hostel. I have a history with this film that's going to put it up in pretty sweet for me. This is one of those movies that I remember sneaking out with friends to watch, and being the teenager that I was, yeah, the whole opening sequence where the women are seducing the men, I really enjoyed that sequence. I don't really watch these movies too much anymore just because I'm not into the whole torture and watching torture anymore. But as a teenager, it was a lot of fun. I have memories with it with friends that I don't really talk to anymore. So I'm going to put it in pretty sweet for me. Freddy versus Jason. This one is going to go up to pretty sweet as well for me. Thing with Freddy vs. Jason is I remember walking 1.5 miles, 2 miles to Hollywood Video, and they used to have those bins where they would sell their used movies after they, because they'd always all be overstock when the movie comes out, and then they would have to clear the stock down when it comes off the new release wall. So I remember buying Freddy vs. Jason, The Punisher, and one other movie. I can't remember what it was now. It might even be on this list. We'll see when we get to it if it's there. Actually, no, it was Devil's Rejects. So it was Devil's Rejects, The Punisher, and Freddy vs. Jason was like 3 for $15 or 3 for $10. Something like that, one of those deals. And that was the first time I ever watched Freddy vs. Jason, was after I bought that. And I absolutely loved it. Like, being a huge Freddy fan, it was awesome to see Freddy take on Jason. This was my first ever movie watching with Jason. My family was never a Friday the 13th household. We had Scream, we had the Nightmare on Elm Streets, we had Halloween, but we never did any of the Friday the 13th. So this was my first introduction to Jason. And it was a lot of fun. It made me want to go and watch the Friday the 13th films, which are rough. It's a rough watch, which is why I love the remake so much, because to me it takes the best parts of 1, 2, and I think parts of 3, and just gives me a modern take on it that's a lot more fun than having to sit through those first 3 films. But anyways, a lot of fun with Freddy vs. Jason. Goes in pretty sweet. Saw 4. Now, I am not a fan of Saw after 3, except for X and Spiral. So we're going to put this one in. That was good. Psych. Not a lot to say on it. A lot of the Saws merged together for me just because I watched them as they were coming out, and it seemed like we were getting one every single year. But I just remember not enjoying a Saw movie since 3. I've only watched 1, 2, and 3 continuously. Saw 4 was a one-time watch. This next one, which is Saw 3D, the final chapter, was also a one-time watch for me. It's also going to go in. That was good. Psych. They just don't do much for me. X is really good. Spiral was decent because it was a little bit different than, or a lot different than the rest. And then 1, 2, and 3, I like those a lot. Mainly because probably Jigsaw was still alive. I think after he died, or they killed him off, is when I started not liking these movies that much. Interesting though, my wife, who does not like horror at all, has been begging me to watch Saw. So we finally watched Saw 1, and now she can't wait to watch the rest. So we'll see how that goes. I will be rewatching all of these pretty soon, so maybe my ranking will change on them. I don't know, but it'll be interesting. Next up is Final Destination. This is the very first one that opens with the plane crash. I'm going to put up in It's Pretty Sweet. It started a cool franchise. There's some cool elements to it. I like the cast in this one. Probably my second favorite cast out of all of them. Number 3 would be my favorite cast just because I'm in love with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, or I was. So we'll put this one at Pretty Sweet. And not much has to be said about Final Destination. Basically, people just start dying off, and they're trying to cheat death, essentially. Next up is The Faculty. This one is going to go straight up to The Bomb. This is basically an alien movie in which the faculty are slowly being replaced by aliens. It's a lot of fun. You got Elijah Wood in this. And it's a really fun movie for the 90s. I think it came out in the 90s, maybe early 2000s. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Goes to the bomb. Urban the Legend. The first one is going to go into Pretty Sweet. I have a soft spot for 90s slashers, and I remember loving Urban Legend. I haven't rewatched it in the last 5 years, but in the time that I did, I remember liking it a lot. So we'll put it in Pretty Sweet. Willard. Put that in its eye. Crispin Glover is great. He plays a creepy person like Willard very well. This is a remake. I've never seen the original, so I can't compare it to the original. It's just a guy with rats just doesn't do much for me. It's a fun movie. Crispin Glover is great, but that's about all I can say. House of a Thousand Corpses. Now, funny thing on this is I love Rob Zombie, but Rob Zombie was banned in my house growing up, mainly because with songs like Super Beast and stuff, my dad was super against Rob Zombie. So I never watched this film, and I didn't get to really listen to much of his music. So when I finally started buying my own movies and sneaking out and getting stuff, Devil's Rejects was the first introduction to Rob Zombie films I got, because they had it in the bin when I bought Freddy vs. Jason and The Punisher. So I watched that before I even watched House of a Thousand Corpses. So I had to go back eventually and watch House of a Thousand Corpses. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think Devil's Rejects is better. That might just be because that's what I saw first. So we're going to put House of a Thousand Corpses in its eye. I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan now. I love most of the stuff he does. But this one's just its eye to me. The Witch. This is also another its eye. I don't rewatch this film. It's a beautifully done film. The director has gone on to do things that I absolutely love. But this one to me, I just don't rewatch it. I have no interest in rewatching it. One time was enough for me. Now, Stephen King's It. The one with Tim Curry. This one's going to go into Pretty Sweet. Now, I do thoroughly enjoy the new It more, at least chapter 1, more than I do this. But for this being a TV miniseries with not that big of a budget and not a lot of CGI, if at all, I don't remember if there's any CGI at all, it's awesome what Tim Curry was able to do in that makeup and that mask. And he is really creepy. If it wasn't for the very ending scene with the spider, I might put it up in the bomb, but that end scene to me is just so bad that I just can't put it up there. But I do thoroughly enjoy this, but it is a very long watch. So typically, usually I make it halfway through, and once it's done with the kid's story, I'm kind of done with the movie. Next up is The Descent. This one's going to go straight up to the bomb. I am a huge fan of creature features, and this one was a lot of fun. You had the cave environment, which I thought was great. You had a lot of those scenes where it was like the pure darkness and you were doing the night vision, and you could see things moving in the back that the people that you were watching could not. And I thought that was a great element. I thought the creatures looked great. They were awesome. You had the story between the characters that also was kind of very interesting and led to some interesting moments. It's just a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's not as scary as everyone makes it out to be. That's the one thing that was disappointing to me, is everyone said it was like one of the scariest movies I ever watched. It wasn't for me, but it was a cool movie. Urban Legends Final Cut. We're going to put that in. I don't remember much of it. I do remember enjoying it, and I remember it being, I think the third one's the only one I didn't like, so we're just going to put it in its I. Sixth Sense, going to go straight up to the bomb. This is one of those movies that it's better on the first watch when you don't know the twist. The second watch is interesting because once you know the twist, you see a lot of things you didn't notice on the first watch. And then after that, it's not as much fun, but it's still an entertaining watch. Trick or Treat. Another one's going to go up to the bomb. This one I remember seeing something about it in Fangoria, and then for some reason I don't know remember if it got shelved or just never got put in theaters, and everyone was silent on it for a really long time, and then it just dropped on DVD and Blu-ray. I remember when that happened, I went to Best Buy, I bought it because nobody else seemed to have it. So I went to Best Buy, I bought it. I bought their last copy. I went home, I watched it, and this has been a staple watch for me every year in October. In fact, I had my wife watch it and my son watch it. My son went as Sam 2 or 3 years ago. So that was a lot of fun. I just love this movie. But I also love anthology films, and this to me is a great one, just the way it integrates everything and ties it all together into one story. Silence of the Lambs. This goes up to the bomb. Not really much to say that hasn't been said on this movie. It's one of the ultimate serial killer movies, one of the ultimate detective movies. Jodie Foster's great. Anthony Hopkins delivers one of the best performances of his career. Doesn't have a lot of screen time, which you would think he would, but he doesn't. But in the time that he does have, one of the greatest performances in a horror movie. Whether you want to call it horror, thriller, whatever, it's either way, it belongs here. Now, Scream. The very first Scream is going to go to the bomb for me. This was one of my favorite horror movies growing up and still is. I know a lot of people don't put it up that high, but to me, it is my favorite slasher. It is one of my favorite horror movies. It is a movie that I have watched more than most other horror movies out there. I just love this movie. I love the entire series. I'm currently rewatching them all again with my son for the first time, so he's being introduced to all the Scream movies. We have number 6 to watch, and then number 7 will be out next week, so we'll be watching that together as well. I just love Scream. Final Destination 3. This one I'm going to put up to It's Pretty Sweet. This was my first Final Destination film that I watched. That roller coaster scene was pretty cool, even though the CGI did not age well on it. And on a rewatch recently, when the new one was coming out, I really saw how bad it got. But it's still awesome. It's got Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it, who I have a huge crush on and still do. And it's just a lot of fun to me. After this one, Final Destination kind of goes downhill for me, but I still enjoy this one quite a bit. Blade Trinity. We're going to put this one in its eye. I do like Ryan Reynolds' character, but it just feels like he's auditioning for Deadpool, which I know a lot of people have said that. Jessica Biel is great to look at, but other than that, I'm like, you kill off Whistler in the beginning, and it kind of destroys the movie for me. Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder's remake of a George A. Romero film, goes straight up to the bomb. Now, I'm not a huge George A. Romero fan. This was actually my first introduction to anything by him, and then I went back and rewatched the original Dawn of the Dead, and I watched some of his older movies. And I just love the remake more. It's just a lot more fun. I think it's more well put together. The opening sequence is one of the greatest, I think, in a horror movie. And I just love this movie. Drag Me to Hell. Sam Raimi's, I think it's his first horror movie since doing Spider-Man. And it's pretty sweet. It's got the perfect ending. It's got the Sam Raimi comedy. It's got Sam Raimi, not so much violence because it is PG-13, but it's got a lot of, I guess, gore or liquids that get spewed around. So it kind of pushes the boundaries there, but it's your typical Sam Raimi where things get splashed and stuff and has that perfect ending, a creepy looking witch character. It's just a lot of fun. Jacob's Ladder. We're going to put that one in as pretty sweet. Now this is one of those ones that I never rewatch. It's a tough watch for me. It is a very psychological movie, but it is a great movie and definitely worth that one watch. And I know I'm putting it in pretty sweet even though I don't rewatch it a lot, but it just belongs there. All the Boys Like Mandy Lane. Oh, Amber Heard. I used to have a crush on her, and then all the crazy shit happened, and we all know how that went. Anyways, we're going to put it in its eye. She does a good job at this. She's definitely believable in the role that she plays in this, and all the guys that want to be with her. It's very, very believable. But it's very also obvious what's going on and who's doing everything, in my opinion. I knew it almost immediately before it even started happening and before it was revealed. So it's worth a watch. It's just not a rewatchable movie for me, especially after everything that happened with her recently. But I can generally push that stuff aside, but my wife's a huge Johnny Depp fan, so yeah, this house doesn't watch Amber Heard movies that much anymore. Shaun of the Dead. Straight up to the bomb. I got to meet Simon Pegg last year, and this is my first introduction to Simon Pegg, and I love it. The comedy works for me. It's my second favorite of the Cornetto trilogy. I think Hot Fuzz is still my favorite, but this movie is a lot of fun, and Simon Pegg is just awesome. The Strangers, the original. We're going to put that one in pretty sweet. Now, I understand what a lot of people say about the main characters that we follow that make stupid-ass decisions, because they do. That a lot of horror movies, people make stupid decisions. You remember that there was that one commercial in which it was like, I don't remember what the company was, but it was all about making a stupid decision, because you see people like, why don't we get in the running car? Are you stupid? Things like that. So anyways, this movie reminds me of that, where you make a stupid decision. But the whole home invasion and not like the movie just ending without really answering any of the questions that you have, I think is the perfect ending. Pray at Night I do like more, which is the sequel to this, or the one that came after this. I have not watched the new trilogy, and I refuse to, because all I hear is bad things, and I'll just stick with the original two. And this one, like I said, going in pretty sweet for me. The Grudge, we'll put this in its eye. Unlike The Ring, I did not really like this one that much. It has elements that I like. Sarah Michelle Gellar I'll watch anything she's in. But it just didn't stand out to me like The Ring did. The Crazies, another one of those George A. Romero films that I think the remake goes into the bomb, while the original is not as much fun to me. This movie is just crazy intense. It has another crazy opening scene for a remake. That whole scene on the baseball field is just, it's tense and it's awesome. Final Destination 2. All right. This one is the one I'm going to put up in the bomb. Now, this is my favorite of the Final Destinations. That opening scene with the log truck is the one opening scene that sticks with me out of all of them, and I think that's the same for most people, mainly because we all go on road trips, and that's just one of those fears that you have on a road trip. So between this and then that scene in Christmas Vacation where he ends up under the log truck, between both those scenes, like if I see a log truck on the road, you best bet I'm speeding past that truck, because I ain't staying behind it. Okay? That's what this movie did to me. And then the kill or the deaths that happen after that, they're pretty interesting as well. But that opening scene alone is epic. The Frighteners. We're going to put this one up in the bomb as well. You have a movie about ghosts with Michael J. Fox and a lot of good comedy. It's just a lot of fun. Hostel Part 2. We're going to put that one in. That was good psych. I love the first Hostel. This one, not so much. The roles are reversed to where guys are seducing women, and there's a lot of the torture stuff in there that just doesn't sit right with me. It's not as much... It's not as entertaining to me as the first one. So we'll just put it in That Was Good Psych. We'll leave it there. Bride of Chucky. We'll put this one in pretty sweet. Now, I love Chucky 1, 2, and 3 more than I love this, but Jennifer Tilly is a great addition to the series, and I wish the sequel to this was as good as this, because it would have been great to see Jennifer Tilly in another great movie with him. But this one is really good. It's a lot of fun. I just see the Chucky kind of ruins the whole Jennifer Tilly Tiffany and Chucky thing for me, but this one does a great job at their toxic relationship that they have. Now, next up we have Halloween H2O. This one is going to go up to Pretty Sweet. I love 90s slashers, and you take the Halloween franchise and you give me a 90s slasher of it, I'm probably going to enjoy it, which I did. I think it's Jamie Lee Curtis's best portrayal of Laurie Strode outside of maybe the first one. And it's just a lot of fun for me. This is one of the Halloween movies I've probably seen the most outside of the first one. And to me, it's just a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it kind of gets destroyed by the one that comes after it, but we can ignore that one. House on Haunted Hill. This one's going to go to its height. Now, the CGI in this one is really bad. It did not age well. But you have Jeffrey Rush, Chris Kattan. I love both of them. I think they're fun in the movie. But honestly, I did a double feature of this one and the original. And after watching the stellar acting in the original and all of that, without the CGI, because obviously they didn't have very much, or they didn't have very good CGI back then if they had any at all, it's just amazing how much better it is than this one, in my opinion. And I'm not one for a lot of classic movies. Like, I like Psycho and stuff, but it's weird for me to like one of those over like the remake like this one. But this one, just CGI doesn't hold up at all, and it kind of brings it down for me. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Same thing along the lines of H2O. I love 90s slashers, so it's going to go up to Pretty Sweet. It's not as good as the Scream franchise, or not as good as the first Scream, but it's of that era to where I loved it. I liked it a lot, and I do rewatch it quite often. And then we have I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. This one will go in its eye. Not as good as the first one, but definitely much better than the one we just got, which kind of destroys this franchise for me. I mean, it doesn't destroy the franchise for me, because I still love these two. But man, did they... I thought they would give us a good one, to kind of like we got with Scream 5, but nope. It's a big letdown with that new one. Now we've got 7. We're going back up to The Bomb. Now, there's not much I can say about this movie that hasn't already been said. It's one of the greatest detective murder mystery stories out there. You can debate whether it's horror, thriller, whatever you want. Either way, it's a great movie. One of David Fincher's best. Now we have the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm going to put in its height. Now, if it wasn't for the focusing on too much on the backstory of Freddy and making him the actual like child molester or whatever they did, this movie to me would have been great. Now, you have a lot of the acting isn't that great, but Jackie Earle Haley to me had potential to be a great Freddy, be the new Freddy. It's just unfortunate that this movie didn't really come together very well and did a lot of things that killed the franchise before it even got started, or killed the remake franchise before it even got started, if we were even going to get another one after this one. Event Horizon. This one's going up to The Bomb. I am a huge sci-fi horror fan, and this one is a lot of fun. It's one of those atmospheric movies that I just like to rewatch. My whole channel, I kind of theme it around sci-fi horror, and Event Horizon and Alien are the two big ones that I think about when I think of sci-fi horror. So next up is The Mist. I'm also going to put this one up in... Actually, we'll put this one in Pretty Sweet. I am super excited because they just announced they're going to be doing another one, a remake, which I know they did the series, which I wasn't a huge fan of. And I know they're going to do another one, and I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do a remake. And I think they're going to do And this movie I liked a lot. Obviously, I put it in pretty sweet. It's got one of those crazy tragic endings of any movie. So how they're going to do that with the new one, who knows? They might just stick truer to the book, which I haven't read, but I hear the movie had a different ending than the book. So maybe they'll stick more towards the book ending. But the fact that you have Flanagan attached to it, I'm sure it's going to be a great movie, and it's going to be an awesome addition to the Stephen King and The Mist. Next up is Cloverfield. Now this one, I am a huge fan of creature features and kaiju films, and this is one of those found footage films that I will rewatch multiple times, and this one in Chronicle. And we're going to put this one in pretty sweet. It's not my favorite kaiju film, and I mean, the found footage aspect is awesome for a kaiju film, in my opinion. Like, if we were to get like a Godzilla film like that, I think it'd be pretty cool. But this film was awesome. It had a great ad campaign. I remember seeing trailers for it and not really knowing what it was going to be about. And then when I watched it, I'm like, that was awesome. So, Hills Have Eyes 2. Now, this is the remake. And I'm going to put it in its I was never really big on The Hills Have Eyes, but they're not a bad watch. Now, Species. This one I'm going to put up in pretty sweet. You have a creature feature. You have a great cast with Alfred Molina and Natasha Hestringe, or whatever her name is. And, I mean, has a lady from CSI, I can't remember her name, the girl that played Catherine. Anyways, I love the cast in this movie, and it's an alien, it's a creature. She basically wants to have sex with a bunch of men and get pregnant to reproduce, and it's a lot of fun, and I have good memories with it. So we'll put it in pretty sweet there. Signs. We're going to put this one up in the bomb. I don't prefer this over The Sixth Sense, but I do. It is probably my second favorite film by M. Night. Actually, probably my third. Unbreakable is definitely probably my number one. So it's not Unbreakable, Sixth Sense, and then Signs. There's that one scene in Signs that everyone talks about at the birthday party. Still makes me jump. Even though I know it's coming, it's still one of those scenes that gets you to jump almost every time. And that will forever stay with me. And I love this movie. The ending isn't very great. Everyone talks about how crappy the ending is, but the rest of the movie is fantastic. Wolf Creek. I'm going to put that one in. It's a very tense and realistic movie, but it's like I said, it's I don't think I'd ever rewatch it. In the Mouth of Madness. This one's going straight up to pretty sweet. Has one of my favorite actors in it, in Sam Neill, and then you have John Carpenter, and it's just a lot of fun. And I need to buy the Blu-ray so I can rewatch it. I haven't watched it in a while, but it is one of those movies I like a lot. Now, next up, we have Jeepers Creepers. Now, obviously, there's a lot of issues with the director on this, and he hasn't really, he kind of ruined his own franchise. Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2 are entertaining. I will still watch those. But this one, to me, is going to go into the bomb. This one is so much better than the second one, so much better than any of the other ones in the franchise. It's got an awesome creature monster, and like I said, I'm a huge fan of creature features, and this is one of the biggest standout creature features for me. Awesome design. Justin Long is a lot of fun in the movie. It's just a fun movie. Now, The Collector. We're going to put this one up in pretty sweet. I don't remember much of this movie. I do remember enjoying it quite a bit. And I'm just going to put it in pretty sweet. I'm due for a rewatch on it, so maybe it'll move up or down. I don't know, but that's where it's going for right now. Now we have The Hills Have Eyes, the remake, the first one. We're going to put this one up in its eye as well. This franchise just never really did much for me. It's an okay franchise. The remakes, I think, are better than the original, but even then, that's not saying much. The Haunting. Now, this is one of those movies that gets a lot of crap, but I thoroughly enjoy it. I watched it a lot as a kid. I remember having friends over one night when I was a kid, and we were going to have a movie night, and this is the movie we chose. And me and my brothers had watched this movie so many times, and these kids we had over, or friends of ours, had never seen it. And I remember my parents having to wake up in the middle of the night because one of the kids got so terrified that he wanted to go home. So my mom had to get up and drive him home in the middle of the night. Now, this movie is not good. It hasn't aged well, but I still thoroughly enjoy it and have a lot of good memories with it. And I think it was the first time I remember seeing Liam Neeson. It was either this or episode 1. And I've liked him since, and I love everything he's in. And then you got, I can't remember her name, but from the first Conjuring, she's the main girl in this, the mother from the Conjuring. And you've got Catherine Zeta-Jones, Owen Wilson. It's a stacked cast, and it's a lot of fun for me. Next up is My Bloody Valentine 3D. This is the remake. I think this one is a pretty sweet remake. I enjoy it a lot. There is that one scene that where the woman gets chased. And, when this movie came out, that was kind of thing I wanted in my horror movies, and I just still like it. Paranormal Activity 2, we're going to go I'm outie on this. I don't care about Paranormal Activity, like I said, from the first one, but the first one is the only one I would ever bother to even attempt to rewatch. Valentine. This is going to go to its Ite. Okay. This is nothing special. You know who the killer is pretty early into the film. It's pretty obvious, so that kind of ruins it for me. And it's just your typical early 2000s slasher. I mean, not much can be said about it. It's fun, but it's nothing special. Now, next up, we have From Dusk Till Dawn. This one's going to go up to pretty sweet. This one's a lot of fun just because you get the first half of the movie, which is kind of like your normal heist-style movie, and then it just takes this complete turn in which you go into a full-on vampire action film. And it's got a great cast. It's got some interesting dialogue, and it's just, I mean, besides the look of the vampires not aging very well, doesn't hold up very well, but the rest of the movie it's just a lot of fun. Halloween Resurrection, straight to I'm outie. Not much needs to be said about that. They destroy what could have been an awesome sequel with how H2O ended. And then they have Busta Rhymes fighting with Michael Myers. It's just, I don't know who okayed this, but it's just bad. The Craft is going to go up to pretty sweet. I have some good memories on this movie. It was my stepsister's favorite movie, and so I watched it multiple times. Normally it wouldn't be one I would gravitate towards, but she always put it on. And it's just a lot of fun. It's about witches, and one of them just goes nuts. It's kind of reminds me of how Chronicle went, where one of them with the power just goes insane. Same with The Craft. One just gets all this power and goes insane. It's a lot of fun. Let Me In. We're going to go straight up to the bomb with this one. Now, like I said when we were talking about the original, I think Let Me In is the better film, but I also watched that one first, so maybe that's just my bias. But I think it's a great vampire film. It's a great a different concept than we normally get from the vampire films, and I enjoy that a lot. and the two kid actors do a excellent job. Leprechaun. We're going to put that in its eye. I was never a huge fan of the Leprechaun series. It's got its moments. I love Warwick Davis. I can't wait to meet him. He's coming to a convention near me here soon. I'm going to meet him. But it's okay. It's I. Saw. Now, I am a huge fan of the Saw movie. I think it is my favorite out of the series and probably one of my favorite horror movies. James Wan is a genius, and I love pretty much everything he does. And he started... When you watch this movie, you didn't think it would turn into the franchise it did, because this movie is just... It's to me, it's so good with the tension, with the mystery and all that stuff. And what you get with the sequels is completely different. Well, not completely different, but way different than what this one was. And this one just has a soft spot for me. Next up is the House of Wax remake. This one is going to go to Pretty Sweet. I had never seen the original House of Wax until I saw this one. I watched this one and then I watched the original. I like this one more. I think the cast is a lot more fun. And I enjoy it more. Now, Piranha 3D, we're going to go in its eye. You got some 3D effects that, once again, don't age very well outside of the 3D experience. And the piranhas are really bad CGI. But you have a fun cast. You have a very comedic feel to this movie as people get eaten up by piranhas. And it's got a lot of nudity. So if that's your thing, this is probably the movie for you. Insidious. We're going to put this up in Pretty Sweet. Not my favorite James Wan film, but it's a lot of fun. It's not as entertaining as it was when I first saw it. On the first watch, it was really good. And then I rewatched it with my son to introduce him to it, and it's kind of not as good. So normally I would have probably had it in the bomb when I first saw it, but now it's moved down to Pretty Sweet. It might move down even further after more rewatches. Only time will tell. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake. This is going to go straight up to the bomb. Now, I had never watched the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This was my first introduction to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this movie was intense. I remember wanting to watch it because Jessica Biel, I had a huge crush on her from Seventh Heaven. And I went and watched this movie, and oh my gosh, was Leatherface intimidating. He was terrifying. And not only that, like his family and the sheriff or whatever, that it was just all around like a terrifying movie. And I lived in Texas for a long time, so that just probably added to the scariness to me, the being called Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And obviously they went all in on this whole based on a true story. You come to realize that elements of it are based on a true story, but like the actual Texas Chainsaw Massacre part, like this whole thing isn't. There's just elements of it that are based off a true story. But man, when you're a kid and you see it and it just is based on a true story and you live in Texas, that's absolutely terrifying. Now next up is the Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds. So this is the remake. We're going to put this one in Pretty Sweet. I do enjoy this one much more than I enjoy the original. Ryan Reynolds is awesome in it, and Ryan Reynolds is probably one of his best performances outside of like being the comedic person he is in Deadpool and stuff. Just a lot of fun to see him in something different. Alright, so next up we have Scream 2. This one is also going to go up to Pretty Sweet. Like I said it multiple times already. I love the Scream franchise. Almost all of them are fantastic movies for me. So, Scream 2 goes in Pretty Sweet. Saw 2 is going to go into its Pretty Sweet. Now, this is the one that follows James Wan's very first one, and it's probably my favorite outside of the first one in X, before it gets all nuts and crazy. So which is also we are going to put Saw 3. Both those kind of the same to me. You still have John Kramer alive, aka Jigsaw. So it's a lot of fun. It's not nearly as good as the first one or X, but they're fun. Saw 5, gonna go down here with the other ones, and that was good. Psych. Not much I can say about this. Not a fan. Same with Saw 6. Just not for me. Well, I don't want to say not for me. They're just not, they do nothing for me, basically. Like I said, I'm going to rewatch them here soon. Maybe that'll change, but I'm a fan of 1, 2, and 3, Spiral, and X, and that's about it from this franchise. Now, Disturbing Behavior I have not seen, so we will not rank that one. Rob Zombie's Halloween is going to go up to Pretty Sweet. Now, if it was not for the first half of this movie, where it's straight up a Rob Zombie film, with his dialogue, his crappy dialogue, and all that stuff, it would be the bomb, because I think Tyler Mane as Michael Myers is great. I love the cast of this. It's just that opening scene with the family that it ruins the movie for me. I wish I always almost just skip that part and go straight to the asylum. Halloween 2, however, is also going to go up to Pretty Sweet. Now, when I first saw this movie in theaters, I absolutely hated it, like most people. But it has grown on me as I've watched it more. As the 2018 trilogy came out, I went and rewatched these, and Halloween 2 is much better than I gave it credit for. And I do not hate it. I actually enjoy it quite a bit for what it is, where it's somebody dealing with their trauma. The white horse or whatever, that if that wasn't in it, it would definitely be up in the bomb as well. But the white horse kind of ruins it. Very unnecessary. Seed of Chucky, we're going to go in. That was good. Psych. There are elements of this movie I like, but overall, it's pretty bad. Sorority Row, I'm going to put it in. It's aight. There wasn't anything special about this. It's an okay movie. Devil's Rejects. We're going to go put this one up in Pretty Sweet, along with the other, apparently, Rob Zombie films. Now, this was my first Rob Zombie film, and it's weird that it's classified as horror, because every time I rewatch it, I'm like, there's really no horror elements to it. Like, House of a Thousand Corpses is very horror, but then once you get past that, it's not as much horror as you would think. But it's a decent movie. It's got your Rob Zombie dialogue, which sometimes is almost atrocious. It's sometimes atrocious to listen to. Like, sometimes it's just tough. So that's why it goes in Pretty Sweet and not the bomb. High Tension. It's aight. I don't remember much of this movie. I watched it once, and I remember the twist being pretty crazy, and some of the kills being pretty cool, but overall it didn't stick out with me enough to want to rewatch it, so we'll put it in its aight. Blade. The first Blade is going to go straight up to Pretty Sweet. Actually, we will put it in the bomb, because I do thoroughly enjoy this movie. I do enjoy number 2 more, so obviously that one's up next, so we'll just put that straight up to the bomb as well. That was my introduction to Guillermo del Toro, who is now my favorite director. So, but both Blade and Blade 2 are awesome. They both have cool elements. Blade 2 is awesome for introducing a new breed of vampire, and you got Ron Perlman in there, and his banter back with Blade and stuff is a lot of fun. Then you got the first Blade, which is the introduction to the character. Really one of the first comic book movies to come out after, you had your early Batmans, your early Supermans, but it's like really the first big Marvel movie to come out. And then after this, you got Spider-Man, X-Men, and it just started that whole craze. But this is really what started it, which is crazy to think about. Hopefully we'll get a good Blade here in the future, but these two are definitely great ones to watch. And the third one, like, it ain't bad, but the first two are just awesome. 13 Ghosts, another one I have a lot of nostalgia for. It's going to go into Pretty Sweet. Matthew Lillard is a lot of fun in this, and the whole concept is cool with all the ghosts. I wish we knew more about the ghosts and that the CGI aged better, but it's still a lot of fun. The Hitcher. This one is its eye. The original is much, much better. This one just goes out more for the gore factor and showing things, while the first one, the original, gives you more of the suspense and the camera panning away from things and not really showing it, which kind of is more disturbing to me than actually seeing it. And a lot of that has to do with the one scene with the girl in between the trucks. So, The Others. Now, this is the recent watch. This was my wife's favorite, one of her favorite horror movies that she kept telling me to watch. And I'm really big into gothic horror. And this one, I'm going to put it in Pretty Sweet. Now, it was very predictable to me. Like, I was watching it with her and I looked at her and I'm like, I asked her if they were ghosts or something like that, and she just looked at me, she's like, you'll just have to wait. And then the ending came and I'm like, I knew it. I'm like, I knew it way early in the movie what was happening. So it's one of those movies that it's a lot of fun. I like the atmosphere. I love the environment that they have there. It's just very predictable to me, and maybe it's just because I watched it later in life. 28 Days Later. This one's going straight up to the bomb. This one is probably one of my favorite zombie movies out there, even though it's technically, I don't think they describe them as zombies. It's the rage virus or whatever they call it. I don't remember what they call it in this. It's been a while. But this one is a lot of fun and has great performances and fast running zombies. So, next up is Flatliners. This one goes into Pretty Sweet. I was never a huge fan of the Flatliner series. Still haven't watched the remake, but you got Kiefer Sutherland and a lot of the good 90s cast members, so it's a lot of fun. Friday the 13th, the remake. We're going to put this one up in the bomb. I know. But this is the one Friday the 13th I like, or that I love. Derek Mears, to me, is an awesome Jason. I think he does a great job in the role. I wish we had a franchise from his performance on this, and then he continued. He is one of the Jasons I haven't met. I have CJ and Kane Hodder autographed behind me here. Derek Mears is coming out here later this year, so I'm going to get his signature. So I'll have my 3 favorite Jasons signed photos, and they'll all be up on my wall here soon. So that's exciting. I love Derek Mears. I love this movie. My favorite Friday the 13th. Now, you can fight me on that all you want, but it's just a lot of fun. It takes what essentially are kind of boring movies in the first 3 and turns them into an awesome modern masterpiece. Maybe masterpiece is hard to say, but it's a modern slasher. Modern great slasher. Wrong Turn. Now, this one is Pretty Sweet. And that's only because Eliza Dushku is sexy as hell. And that is the one reason I watched this movie. I'm not a huge fan of this series. Everything after this goes downhill. But this one's a good watch. It's pretty sweet. So that is my tier list of millennial horror movies, courtesy of Cody Leach. Now, I will link his video in the description, as well as the link to this tier list, so you can do it yourself if you want. Let me know where you agree with me, where you disagree with me. If you want to share yours, you can follow me on social media and share it with me. That'd be cool. But let's have a conversation in the comments about movies, about this tier list. And please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It does help, and I would greatly appreciate it. I love making this kind of content, and I hope to continue to do it. So thank you for all the support.